stage. Maybe stage. You're on.
Am I on?
Mhm.
A little bit of confusion, but
Hey.
we're figuring it out.
The first of many.
So
We'll figure it out. We'll get it as we go.
Oh, you're gonna turn your volume down. Get some feedback.
There we go.
Okay, so I think we're good on the volume. We're good on the cameras. I'm using StreamYard, so we're acting like not professionals. So you may see him with my name, vice versa. We don't know. And you're probably wondering who's him. Well, him is Walmart Rich, which actually came to visit me and the family. And
And people on my channel probably already know who you are because I've mentioned your name about 1,000 times in the last month or two because we've been doing stuff back and forth and talking about getting together and talking about doing this live, and finally had time to come down and do it.
And here we are. So, yeah. So it's question and answers. I know some of our lives have been like a theme type of a thing, and I just want to hear from you. I want to hear from you guys what you're wanting to know. I mean, the audience just came up with some really good questions, and we're not able to answer them sometimes. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we go find out. So, yeah, ask away. I mean, anything you want to know about getting hired on at Walmart, or maybe you already work here. You've only been here a short amount of time, and you're wondering how some of the things work. Or I think between the two of us, we could probably come up with something.
Well, I think the last live we did that we did fairly well.
Yeah.
But the major announcement I did on mine, I put major announcement coming up. The major announcement that I was talking about on my title is that we are going to start doing, we don't have an exact name for it right now. We're just calling it Walmart Roundtable until we come up with something better. But we're going to start doing a bi-monthly live with the two of us. I may not always come down to California, but I'll do my live where I'm at. He'll do his. We'll be in the same channel. And we will have topics and possibly guests. So there's a lot of Walmart drivers and just general truck drivers that we noticed the last time we did this live that they wanted to be part of this. So if you want to be part of the Walmart Roundtable, drop a comment. Say, hey, I want to be involved, or whatever you want to do. Just make some sort of comment that we can go back and we'll reach out to you and talk to you about maybe having you come on as one of our bi-monthly roundtable videos.
Or you can send an email at don@20plustrucking.com. Either way, and we'll sort through them. And so do we want just Walmart drivers, or do we want
anybody?
Could be anybody. So like somebody in the industry, maybe you haul fuel on a tanker, maybe you work for one of the mega carriers, whatever it is. We'd like to integrate you guys into the live. Obviously we can't do like 7-8 people or whatever, but maybe we can have like a guest or something,
or two,
maybe, depending on the theme. So if you guys like the sound of that, then send an email, put a comment down, and let's do this.
So I'm not showing that there's anybody watching right now. Is that accurate? I don't see any comments or anything on my end.
It says 4 with no comments.
Okay.
Oh,
there's a comment. So
we got a comment.
So we got 4 people. So that's on my channel. We should be on our own channels, right?
That's what I'm thinking. That's why I was asking, because I wasn't sure how this works. So I'm showing 0 people, but there was a comment by Mahara. I don't know how to say that name. F46. That's a question for you. Wants to know how you make more money on the 5.5 program.
How do you make more money on the 5.5? Well, there's a couple of different ways. Actually, it shows one now that I got on there. Okay. There's a couple of different ways. If you're a new driver, it's a lot harder. I try to make it pretty clear with my videos to let people know I've been here 18 and a half years. I'm getting paid at a higher pay scale. And I tell people I make the 6 figures on the 5.5. Part of that is because I'm getting paid more, but there are multiple tricks on how to get paid more. The little stuff adds up. So obviously, no brainer, work extra. You're working 5 on, 5 off. There's 3 possible days you can work. And I say that because you have to have your 34-hour resets on both ends. Walmart doesn't do the type of logbooks where you can, hours drop off. We don't do that. You work until your 70's done or thereabouts, whatever your weekends, and then you do a 34-hour reset, period. That's how Walmart works. So if you're on a 5-5, you can only work 3 extra days on your days off. So in other words, I work 5 days, I get 1 day off, and then I come back to work on my days off. That gave me 34 hours right there to work the 3 days. And then I'm off on the 4th day of my days off. And then I have to have that last day off to have that 34-hour reset to go back to my regular 5 days. That's one. That's one of the biggest things. Walmart they're growing. That's why they're hiring. And I was talking about this earlier. If we weren't hiring, that means we're not growing. And it's growing. And what that means is that there's going to be plenty of work. I know this could vary from office to office, but some of the DCs, maybe it's harder to do. Our DC, it's not hard. I go in and tell them I want to work, and they go, sure. I don't even finish the sentence, and they've already said sure. Because it's more expensive for them to run outside carriers than it is to have a Walmart driver do it. Seems crazy since the outside carrier gets paid less, but trust me, the company that they're getting paid more. And so that's one of the ways, work extra. The other way is try to get your ADP up. And with a 5-5, there's 2 things about that. One, we run on an ADP average day pay, and what that is like 13 weeks.
13 weeks.
Yeah, a running average of 13.
26 weeks. It's 13 pay periods. So.
Okay, 26 weeks. That's a running average of that length of time on what you average out per day. Here's the part that is confusing. It'll probably sound dumb, but on you have a 14-day work week, a pay period. So in that pay period, working a 5 on, 5 off, you may work 9 days, or you may only work 5. It just depends on how it lands. They're going to divide the number 7 into whatever it is you work in that 14-day period. And then for people that work full-time, they would divide the number 10. Okay, so if they're dividing the number 7, and I work 8 days, well, if you know how to do averages, then your average is dramatically going to jump up. So you work those 3 days, and let's say each pay period you get 1 or 2 days more than 7 days in a pay period. Let's say you're doing like 8 days in a pay period, every pay period, because you're working extra. So your average skyrockets. Well, what happens over time is, for one, every time you take time off, you're getting paid a higher rate of pay. Like my ADP, I think I'm at $480 right now, somewhere in there. Sometimes it'll go up above $500. That's every time you take time off, you're getting paid that $480 for the day. That adds to your total for a year's pay to get paid 6 figures in a year. You go in and do what do they call those things? CBLs or computer learning modules. Computer learning modules. It's things like policy, touch up on hazmat. You get paid 1/10 of your ADP every hour when you do those type of trainings, or you go to a meeting, or you whatever it is you do. And so if I'm getting $480 a day ADP, I'm going to get $48 an hour.
Correct.
Again, every time you do that, you're getting paid a lot more for that. It adds up for the entire year. It's hard to control whether you work weekends, because we get a higher rate of pay at weekends.
7 cents a mile.
7 cents a mile, which you have to work both Saturday and Sunday, full days, right?
I wasn't aware of that. It didn't used to be.
I'm pretty sure you have to work.
Because if your schedule was Monday through, say, Tuesday through Saturday, you get 7 cents for Saturday. You weren't scheduled for Sunday.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
And then nights is the same thing. If you're scheduled after 1400, you get night pay for all of the miles. Because that's what I did in Gas City.
So there's a night pay.
That's why I was talking to the driver at Grandview last week, and he had just his partner was doing the 5 on, 5 off night schedule, and he was making over $100,000 a year because he was getting the extra 7 cents per mile. He was working extra, like you said, and things like that. This guy has another question. He says, "Don't you have to share trucks with another driver? Isn't it just one truck, 2 guys, and you just share that one truck?"
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah,
that big a deal.
yeah.
You just talk to your co-driver.
Yeah, you have one partner. So if you work extra, then you're going to have to get into a different truck. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, it's slip seating. But I mean, it's not as horrifying as it sounds. Number one, your partner, it's kind of nice sharing a truck with one person, one truck, because he'll make sure that the truck is in good running shape. If it needs to be fixed, he'll turn it in, to have it worked on in the shop. He'll give me a heads up because we communicate through text, and he's very clean. I'm very clean. We leave stuff in the truck. It works out really well. And I get a heads up of what's happening. If I work extra, like on those days off, yeah, they're going to find a random truck and put me in it. I know some of these DCs, these guys are saying, oh, well, I'm in and out of trucks a couple of times a week. I've never had that happen.
That used to be back in the day when I first started here. I heard a little bit of that. I haven't heard any of that recently.
Yeah, and I've never experienced that. They'll look and see what trucks are available, and they'll say, oh, well, it's only available 2 of the days you're working. Let's find another truck. And then they'll find one where it has all my days, and that's it. Yeah, you're in somebody else's truck, but I mean, what's the difference between that and when you normally come to work? You're just getting in the one truck you're going to be in all week.
Yeah, because when I started here, I was at Seymour, the GM facility, and I was running the 5.2 extra board. I think once I had to switch trucks in the middle of the week, but that was it. Normally, if I had to switch trucks because one broke down or something happened, or if I wanted to extend on the 6th day, then I may have had to get out of that truck because it was somebody else coming in.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
there's times where I could use it on the 6th day and I didn't have to switch trucks.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when you're on the 5 on, 5 off, if you want to extend and work 6 days, then you're going to have to bring that truck back and then jump in a truck for one day, a different truck. That's why I never do that, because I don't want to take my stuff out just to go run
one day,
half a day, whole day, whatever. Although if you're in communication with your partner, a lot of times he's on vacation or LOA or whatever. It's my truck, all I want at that point. So that's kind of the deal with the trucks.
What this guy say here? It's Corey's Car Media. What does he say? Company he's with is more old school. They run paper logs. He's curious how he'd be able to prove that he's driven 2 years with the company. Most of the proof, from my understanding, is not done through the company. It's done through, are they registered with the drug and alcohol board, whatever that thing, clearinghouse. As long as they're registered in the clearinghouse, then that technically proves that their longevity with companies. Now they will want proof from the company, but the company will their HR will say, oh yeah, the guy worked here from January to February, blah, 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 whatever.
So they don't actually pull any logs up. They just,
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of, unless, I don't, even if you were owner op, I don't think they pull logs.
Yeah.
They'll go off 1099s at that point, or W-2s.
Yeah.
They don't pull logs.
Well, when I got hired here, they didn't have this onboarding thing or anything. And, I didn't know. I had all my logbooks from like day one, like years and years of logbooks, and they never asked for any of that. They just verified that I worked at these companies, and then that was the verification on my miles.
Yeah, the last half of this thing here, I just noticed he says they're not a full-on trucking company, but they operate CDL. If you have a CDL, don't you have to be in the clearinghouse? I don't, even if the company isn't a full trucking company, like say it's excavation and they just do landscaping and they have like one truck and maybe he's their truck driver.
Well, it's registered with the DOT.
That's what I'm saying. If he has a CDL and they have a DOT number, he has to be registered at the clearinghouse, I would think. It's more of an HR question. I'll have to ask. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, what kind of trucking company is it? He doesn't say what kind of company it is. Well, it's not a trucking. What kind of company do you work for? Is it like I just mentioned? Is it landscaping? And they have one truck.
Right.
Before I got my CDL, I worked for a septic company. I went and cleaned porta potties. They weren't a trucking company, but my CDL, my Class B, was still valid. It was still counted as work. It doesn't. I mean, not for Walmart, it don't, of course. But
right.
In the CDL world, I had CDL experience for Class B.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what company he works for, but
so
it's just really strange. I'm seeing the comments pop up, but I'm showing that we have 0 viewers, so I don't know on my end.
Well, I have, let's see. No, you have to work Saturday and Sunday to get weekend pay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the deal.
I don't remember. Yeah. I just know I worked groceries.
You have a question on here?
every day you could go in and look at your pay, like where you click on pay items and it shows you like drops, hooks, and it has a little balance sheet of like miles and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I always saw the 7 cents a mile in there, so I just never, I didn't know it was split like that.
Now,
But then again, I think I was on a 5.2 at that point, and I was probably working weekends anyway, so maybe that's why I never noticed it. I didn't get it or got it.
like regional pay, that depends on what region you go into. Like we get paid when we go into LA, and I forget how much it is, but so many cents per mile.
I thought it was a flat rate, like $12 to go into the city or something like that.
No, we were per mile. They could have changed it.
I don't know.
I never paid
California's
attention.
completely different than almost everybody else.
Yeah,
so.
well, I know they have stuff like that throughout the country. You know, New York.
There's a bridge
Chicago,
pay. Well, I don't think Chicago has anything extra.
Really?
No.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, there's no stores downtown.
Yeah.
Most of your stores are going to be on the very, very south edge or up in the suburbs.
Yeah.
You don't have to. There's nothing down in the loop. There's
Yeah, but
nothing
you're gonna
downtown.
drive through all that stuff to
Not
get
really.
there.
You go right around it on 294, 394 because there's nothing downtown.
Oh,
You don't have to take 94 into the city.
Yeah.
Because there's no stores there.
Oh,
And we, as far as I know, from all the time that I worked there, I don't think we really picked anything up there. You might be on 294 outside of town. There was a farm, Bolt House Farms or something. We picked up like cheese and yogurts and stuff like that. But I never went downtown for anything. As close as we ever got was the south side. There's Dalton, I think, is the name of the town. It wasn't even really Chicago. There's not a lot in town.
Well, I'm surprised they don't have an extra pay there because when I went to the Walmart meeting out in Bentonville, one of the guys, he took stuff from the .com thing or to the .com thing.
There's a .com in near Greenfield or Greencastle, Indiana.
Well, this is a deal in Chicago. I don't know what it was called, but basically it's the stuff where people order and they get it the next day, brought to their house.
Yeah, that'd be the .com.
And he was saying that it was just absolute disaster to drive during the day, so they switched it to where he drives at night, so they don't have to worry about that. But during the day,
there's a center point just outside, just on the border in Hammond, Indiana.
I think that's what it was.
No, Northwest Indiana, 8094 is just as bad as Chicago. 294, all those highways suck.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. They're always busy. They're always congested, but you just get through it. There's no extra pay for any of that.
What bummer. So what we got for a question here?
Bolingbrook, yes, there's a vendor out there. There's a bunch of cold storages out there, but those are right off of 90. But those are nowhere near downtown.
Yeah,
nowhere near downtown.
Okay, Corey answered you what trucking company or what he was driving.
Oh, what did he say?
It's a flatbed company, cinder blocks.
Yeah, multiple trucks. Yeah.
No, they're still a trucking company. Then if they got flatbeds, he's still going to be in a clearinghouse. So I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's not going to need to show his logbook for anything. Just got to have 30 months. He said he had 2 years, so he needs just a few more months, unless I've read that wrong. The Mozzarella Monsters, you know who that is?
Uh-huh.
He said, he's like, hey, David. So he's talking to you. I figured maybe you knew what that meant.
Hey, David, the Mozzarella Monster Blaine here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the Mahara mentioned the $50 for the bridge. That's what I was saying. I knew there was a Washington Bridge pay. I didn't know what it was.
So what does that mean? You guys get
if
paid?
you have to cross this is out in like New York. If you have to cross the Washington Bridge because it's congested and slow, they get a $50 pay for having to cross that bridge.
Well, I haven't been out that way.
Just like we get $60 if we have to chain.
Well, I was just gonna say I haven't been out that way in 20 some odd years, and I remember the bridges were like, that was total hell just getting to the bridge, let alone going across.
Yep.
And then back in those days, this was at Walmart. We had to pay for the bridge.
Yep.
I remember the bridges were like 26. I know the one in Chicago was $26. There was a bridge or something, or anyway.
I'm aware of.
But it was like that in New York too. That was expensive.
If I'm not mistaken, that Washington Bridge is over $100 for a truck right now.
Well, yeah, this was only 20 something. This was back in 03, somewhere in there, 02. So yeah, that sounds about right for inflation, $100.
Mahara, I don't know if you were here in the very beginning or for those of you that have just jumped in. So the major announcement that I made, I commented on my channel, is we are going to start doing a bi-monthly roundtable where we talk to drivers. We may talk to financial advisors. We're going to do a lot of different things and different topics, but we're also going to possibly bring in other drivers. If you guys want to be part of those roundtables, make a comment in there or email you at your email.
Yeah, Don at 20plustrucking.com. And Hey, maybe we can get one of you guys in here and
Yeah, he seems pretty knowledgeable. He seems like he knows a lot about the East Coast, and we don't know anything about the East Coast. I get asked about the East Coast all the time, and I'm like, I think this is what's going on, but I don't know for sure.
I haven't been out that way in 20
I know
years.
Midwest, and I know a little bit about the West, and I know a little bit about Alaska. I know nothing about the East Coast. We need an East Coast guy.
Actually, I'm blown away. This is the furthest you've ever been into California.
Mm-hmm. I've never been to California.
Yeah, we're like up at the Oregon border. So yeah.
My brother was a Marine. He was in 29 Palms, but I never got to go visit him when he was there. And when I drove truck, I never went to California. So this is the first time I've ever been in California.
That sounds like a pretty
It doesn't look any different than Oregon and Washington for the most part. There's leafy trees, but other than that, it's about the same. It's hills, it's mountains, it's snow. It's
that's why I'm smiling big, because once you get past Redding, none of that's happening anymore. yeah, it's like deserty. Well, there's farmland and desert, and it's totally different than up here.
Yeah, the only thing I thought was really strange was I heard about trucks have to do 55 mile an hour, but I thought that was down in like L.A. No, as soon as I crossed the border, anybody with a trailer had to do 55, but the speed limit for everybody else was 70. And I'm like, this is about the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
But everybody's doing like 70.
Everybody does 70 anyway. Yeah, even the trucks were driving 70. I'm like, all right, whatever, as long as nobody's in my. But they did a pretty good job having passing lanes, because there's a couple trucks that were doing like 40 trying to get up the hill, and I'm like, come on. And then as soon as I'm like, how can I get past it? I saw the sign, passing lane, 1 mile. I'm like, all right, I'll be cool. 60 seconds, I'll be able to pass this guy. So yeah, it's a little bit different. The other thing, I was talking to my brother on the phone as I was crossing the border. I'm like, hey, hang on a minute. There's a guy wants to talk to me. So I roll the window down because I had to drive through this little like garage storage shed. Yeah. And they're like, got any produce? I'm like, no. They're like, all right, go ahead. I'm like,
we call that the bug station.
Is that what that is? Yeah. I'm like, everybody had to get funneled through this little garage and ask. I was like, what are they asking? They got produce. I'm like, no.
Okay. Yeah, you were doing the one
on 97.
97. Okay. Yeah.
That's not everywhere. That's not normal.
No, there's one other one. There's a couple others. There's one here on I-5. They don't ask anymore. They just ask the trucks to see your building.
Okay.
And then there's one out on 139. Going towards Reno.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny. I made you drive through this little shed.
Yeah.
Funnel everybody in there. I was like, what? Okay. And
one of the cool things is the Walmart trucks. They know that we don't. It's not a reaper, so there's nothing to talk about. So they just wave us on. If it's a reaper, then they'll do like a thumbs up or whatever, because frozen dairy, that's nothing. But the meat and produce, you got to go in and they got to put a stamp.
I was going to say, okay, so it's like Canada. Every time we go into Canada and exit Canada, they got to take our paperwork. They give us a stamp. And there's a special stamp that we have to have before we can even enter the very first time, and it comes from Canada.
Well, they're checking to see if it's been certified.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got any other questions on here?
Yeah, what's going on with the questions here?
He's got check stubs and a W-2 to prove his work history. Yep, I think that's all you need. I know that's all Walmart will ask him for.
Yeah.
Is W-2s or 1099. So he wasn't sure if his company would give him trouble with proof of experience. I don't think so. The company really can't.
The company is required by law to state whether you've worked there. I don't think they can ask much other than does he work here? What are the dates he worked here? And then if you've had any
disciplinary action. They can't ask things like, what kind of employee is it? Yeah. Does he do this? Does he do? They can only ask like three. There's like 3 or 4 questions, and they all are very specific to the work history, and that's it. So
it's not like the old days where if they didn't like you and then they start talking a bunch of crap about you.
They can't do that.
That's all been cut out of there. It's all pretty official now.
Yeah, and it's all done by third parties anyway. Well, it's not Walmart that does this. It's it used to be Hire Right. Now they use somebody else, right? Or is it Hire Right now? It used to be somebody else.
I don't know.
Whatever it was, it's a third party company that does all the verification anyway. So even if the boss was to badmouth you to this guy at Hire Right or whatever the third company, Walmart's never going to know. All this person at Hire Right's going to do is pass on, worked here from this date to this date. No disciplinary actions or whatever their questions are that they have to ask by law, and then that gets passed on to Walmart. That's it. So shouldn't have any problems with any of that. If you do, let one of us know, and we'll see if we can't reach out and find something out for you. But
definitely.
But we get guys once in a while that get snagged up on something like, oh, I hit a yellow pole 5 years ago. Is that going to ding me? Well, it might. Sometimes it does.
Yeah, they say they want 30 months in the last 4 years.
Correct.
I kind of thought, were they only mainly looking at the last 4 years? Mm-hmm. And so if you ding something and your company knows about it and you didn't get in trouble for it, I think after some point it doesn't matter. But if it's within the last 30 months, yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Well, and it also depends on how their company reports it. If the guy just scratched a yellow pole or, broke a tail light or something and it's not some certain amount of damage, it may not be a big deal. But if that company reports it, oh, he had an accident, then you're done. Then Walmart won't even look at you. So it kind of depends on how his company or their company reports it to Walmart. If it was just an incident, Walmart may not care about that. But if they report it as an accident, then Walmart sees that as an accident.
I'm hearing that if there's an incident in those 30 months that you're done. But,
No. I'm just saying, I know that it does depend on how their company reports stuff.
Yeah, I think so too.
That might be a good time here. Dash cam.
Oh, yeah. I don't even know what to do with it. Oh, it's right here.
You just switch over to you real quickly.
So, yeah, I got to mention this. So, if you didn't see my video, I did a review on this dash cam right here. It's the A229 3-channel by Oppo dash cam. So it's got 3 cameras, forward facing, rear, and then 1 inside the cabin. And I did a review on it, and I'm giving it away. It's brand new. It's got multiple things to go with it. You get the camera, of course, the 3 different cameras in here. You get the hardwire kit. You got the little Bluetooth button, and the lens is over there, but it's one of those lenses. And so I'm giving it away. And all this, here's the lens. All this goes with it. I'm giving it away. And all you have to do to enter to win this is email me at dawn@20plustrucking.com and just say, hey, enter me into the dash cam drawing. And here, and I haven't set an exact date. I'm trying to see how many people I can get in on this drawing. I'm thinking about 3 weeks. I will announce the winner on a video or on live or something. And yeah, I'll send it off to you. I mean, the camera, I looked at online at this, and just the camera setup alone was like $280. I think adding all this in, it's well over $300 and some odd dollar value, all brand new. I did take it out of the package. You'll see in my video that I have some footage there on my review, but it's brand new. So yeah, send me an email, dawn@20plustrucking.com, and just say, enter me into the drawing. And yeah, who knows? I may be holding your camera right now. So I'll do my best not to drop it.
I'm thinking about picking one up because with the Alaska runs we were talking earlier, people are always asking me, like, what's it like in Canada? It's like, well, I work from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. because that's what me and my co-driver figured out.
It's dark.
It's always dark, right? Except for now. Right now, it's like it's light until 1 a.m. But and I had a GoPro, and the GoPro just it didn't pick up very well at night. And then the other thing is in Canada, there's so many bugs, and most of the roads are not paved. Yeah, they're kind of paved, but they're mostly dirt. So our windshield was constantly disgusting. Yeah. So the camera was picking up bug guts half the time, and I was just like, this just doesn't work out.
See,
but you said that had a really good video, and you said it had a night vision on it. Yeah. So I was like, I wonder if and it had those extra cameras, and I'm like, well, if I could stick one of those cameras in a corner of the windshield that doesn't get dirty all the time, that might actually work out even better.
That's what I was going to say. It's okay if it gets a little dirty, because when you're using the GoPro, it's away from the window like a couple inches. This is right on the window. So it doesn't focus on any debris or bugs unless you got like a huge,
Yeah, see, my GoPro was sitting back on the dash, and it was picking up everything. So
yeah,
I'm thinking about grabbing that.
But using a dash cam, it looks right past all that. I mean, the window's got to get pretty cruddy before you don't have,
We try to keep them as clean as we can, but there's some days where it's just yellow.
Yeah, I just put it right in the center, below that assurance system. And in the winter, like Donner Pass, the sand and salt on the road, the window's covered in 10 seconds. I'm constantly having to wash the window, and it looks right through that pretty well. Yeah, it does good. So
I'm thinking about picking one up.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have. So do we got any other questions?
Corey was saying that he thinks his license is clean. He thinks he's going to be okay.
Good.
It's just that his company's a little old school doing paper log and stuff. He wasn't sure how he was going to be able to prove his time, but I think he'll be fine. He'll have to be in a clearinghouse because he's got a DOT. I'm sure he had to take a DOT physical to get his license, so he'll be in a clearinghouse with the company.
So he hasn't applied yet?
No, I don't think he has enough time. I think he said he had 2 years. I couldn't go back and find that, but I think he needs a couple more months.
Well, when you do finally apply, you want to use a referral.
Yep.
And you can use me or Rich, either one. I don't mind if you use Rich; it's fine. Whoever you think is helping you the most, or however you want to do it. But you want to put a referral down. I know some people argue on this, and they're just wrong. I'll tell you how it works. Basically, sometimes when Walmart hires, they're hiring quite a few people at one location.
Yep.
Pretty easy to get your application in there and maybe get in an interview. Sometimes they're hiring in one place, one position, and there's like hundreds of applications.
Happens all the time.
And basically, by putting a referral in, we've been told that it will put you at the top of the stack. Is it going to make you number one? No, because there's probably other people in there with referrals.
It just puts you in the top group of everybody with a referral.
Yeah. And so that will make a difference then. But it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't, it just helps you in that way, and it helps us because we get the money for the referral.
Yep.
Same thing I always say. I don't care if you use me as a referral or not. You can email me anytime you want. If you have questions, I'm sure Rich feels the same way.
Yep.
And it's cool. We don't need a referral. Just want to help, but if you want to do it, that'd be great.
Yep. If you guys want to email me, I don't know if I can, how we do this in the comments down below or how I do this, but
put it down.
My email's a little complicated. I keep saying I need to get a new email and then I forget to do it, but it's drkaraokedj@gmail.com. And then I've got a pre-trip guide, a frequently asked questions guide, a schedules guide that kind of walks you through like how does the 5.5 work, how does the 6.2, 6.3, all that kind of stuff. And I have the 2025 insurance information. When you guys email me and you ask for that information, you don't have to use me as a referral to get this. Anybody can have this information, even if you're not at Walmart, you just want to be nosy. I'll send you all those little files and you can go through them and look at them and go through all that. You just got to say, oh, yeah, that works. Okay. So you just got to send me an email and then I send you all that information. So, but yeah, it doesn't matter whether you use me or Don. We've done this. We've sent people to each other 1,000 times. So yeah, I get somebody who's like, hey, what is California like? Here. Talk to Don. He knows everything. Just get a hold of him. So this guy Albert asked, dirt roads sort of. Is it tough to sleep in the Alaska runs? Yes, it is. That is probably the biggest thing that I have a problem with. I've got a great partner. We've got a good system. We work well together. I know a lot of guys are worried about, I get a crappy partner. They'll send you with your partner for a week locally. They'll make you team locally for a week just to get used to each other. And if you guys are not a good fit, you go back and say, hey, we're not a good fit. They'll split you up and put you with other people and resend you. But there's a lot of roads up there. The way that we go, we take what's called the Caziar Highway, and it is literally nothing more than a dirt road that kind of runs up through the mountain and then right back down the other side of the mountain. And we take it because it's 3 hours faster. We're getting paid ADP. So we're not trying to spend a lot of time out there. We're not getting paid by the mile. The only reason miles make a difference is for our safety bonuses, but we're still going to get 23, 24, 2,500 miles each because it's 2,300 miles, I think, one way, right, not counting towns and blah, 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 stops and all that stuff. So there's a lot of dirt. I mean, there's sections that you drive by and there's literally a paver right there on the side of the road that every week or two they come out and just regrade the roads. So yeah, it can be very different. Like at night, there's times that I will slow down. The speed limit might be 55, but if you drive 55, your partner will be bouncing off the ceiling. You have to slow down. You can't drive the speed limit. You got to like crawl over all the potholes. I really should get some video of the roads up there, especially right now in the springtime when all the frost is melted and the thaw. Yeah. It is. Then they're doing construction. It's a disaster in the spring. Yeah. So yeah, sleeping is the hardest part. What we did though is I've bought I think it's a 10 or a 12-inch memory foam Serta mattress that we put on top of the mattress that's in there. Yeah. So it kind of gives it a little bit better cushion. You sleep a lot better with the mattress system that we've got.
Homemade air raid.
Basically. And it's funny because I used another guy's truck and they had the same mattress that we had in there. And I'm like, oh, look, we have that same mattress. So apparently everybody else has kind of caught on to buying those really nice foam mattresses. It was like a $250 mattress. Yeah. But it works really well. We definitely sleep a lot better with that newer mattress in there. So,
oh yeah, a little more cushion on those bumps. Yeah.
So Corey's
way in the house.
What's that? Walmart way?
I don't see that yet.
question. This would be for you.
So the 5-5 program, how many PTO, I guess, days do you have as a veteran driver? Just curious. So I earned 36 in a year. And then if you don't wreck or have any accidents or anything, you'll get a safety day quarterly. So I end up getting about 40 a year.
Yeah, say I'm over 3 years, so I'm getting about the same. Once you get to the 3-year mark, me and you are making almost the same. You might make like a penny and a half more a mile than I do. But a new driver is going to make like 3 cents less a mile than even I do.
Yeah,
probably 4.5 less than you. But
yeah,
so PTO, I don't have that. I've got somebody that's going to send me the sheet that breaks down the PTO per year.
I have it on my
phone. You have one of yours too?
I don't know where it is.
Well, I'm going to put it in my little packet of stuff that I send people because PTO is a question I get all the time too.
Yeah.
But your very, very first year here, you'll get 24 PTO and 4 safety days. Up to 4 safety
4
days.
minus 27, was that 23?
I got 24 the first year.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. But I worked a lot. I tried to work my clock as much as I could.
Yeah.
I extended. So you could, I think the max you can get is 26.
You know, and you can use that to take days off, like whenever, or holidays or whatever. But here's something I didn't know. I know, but a lot of people may not know. If you have a short day, let's say things didn't go well, you got stuck in traffic and they were screwing up at the store. And at the end of the day, you're just like, what a wash, man. I didn't make anything. Let's say you only made like, I don't know, $250 for the day, and you have a $500 ADP. You can go in and use a portion of those PTO days to up that day to your ADP, which, you know, whatever your ADP is.
And it'll automatically calculate. You put something in there about it's like management pay or something like that, and it will automatically say, okay, we're going to use 2.47 PTO hours, and that way your ADP does not drop.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh,
when you first taught me about all the PTO stuff back in the day, I talked to my GTM, and my GTM was like, yeah, on your first day, your first day is never going to be ADP because you don't get your layover pay.
Yeah.
And you're probably only working a half a day if you're coming in at noon, 1, whatever. Unless you're coming in early in the morning, you're not going to get a full day run. So at the end of that day, there's a little button off to the side when you're going through your pay for the day. Because at Walmart, you have to keep track of your pay. If there's something missing or if you need to add something that the computer missed, you have to go in and physically adjust your pay. So when you do it on that first day, like you said, if your ADP is 500 and you only did 250, you click on that management pay, and then in the line, you'll see almost instantly, it'll say 2.74. It'll do your 8 PTO, and it puts it right in there and makes you 500 for the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that. It keeps it the same. Man, I mean,
it'll put you up to your ADP.
Well, yeah, it'll pay you that, but I mean, is it going to let your average? Is that what you mean?
Your average can't drop. If you make your day whole, which is what my boss called it, if you make yourself whole, it will put you at your ADP, so your ADP can't go down.
Okay, that changes everything because in winter, I mean, you guys know I try not to work much of winter, and it's because it's an ADP destroyer because you're idling in a line of cars waiting to go through the chain check, and then the speed limit's 25 miles an hour, and then you got to take the chains off, and so you add that up over multiple days. Yeah, winter's crap.
Oh, yeah, you're just driving slower for road conditions.
Yeah, and so your ADP is like literally crashing into dirt at this point. And so I just take January and February off all that I can. But now that I know that, I realize, well, when I do work in winter, that's the time to be up in my days.
And it won't use all 10 hours, and it just uses partial.
Yeah,
if you only need a couple hours to make yourself whole, boom.
You can be $2 below your ADP, and you can up your ADP, and it would probably be like 0.00 whatever.
15 minutes or whatever it would take to put you there.
It figures it out. There's no math.
It does it all for you.
Yeah. So, but no, this goes back to the question earlier. How do you make good money on the 5 on, 5 off? Well, this is an example of how you would do that. Don't ever let your ADP drop. So in winter, you're like, hey, I'm already working all the time. How do I do more to make sure my ADP doesn't drop? Well, he just said it. Take your PTO days and apply them.
Yep.
People go, oh, why would you do that? You're using all your days. You're working 50% of the time anyway. I mean, do you really need the whole 40 for the entire year? Already off 50% of the time.
I mean, think about it. A first-year driver is going to get, let's just call it 24 PTO days. that's what, 3 weeks of vacation technically, your very first year. Are you taking 3 weeks of vacation? Probably not. And you can only roll over, I think, 10 days of PTO, right?
For me, it's different. 5.5, I can only roll like 3, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the normal driver, it's 10 days. So if you got more than 10 days and you're not going on vacation, why waste? I mean, you could cash them out, but why cash them out? Use them to make your ADP stay high. That way you're getting more for like meetings and downtime. Like if you're waiting at the yard and you're getting, or at a vendor or whatever, and you're getting ADP for that, breakdown pay, whatever. ADP
cashing them out is a complete waste.
Don't cash them out. Use them to keep your.
Because you're gonna, I think you get hit with the high taxes, like luxury tax,
probably.
So they'll end up taking like half of it.
I've never cashed any out. I've always planned mine ahead of time to where I didn't have it. I only had at least 10 or under to roll over.
Yeah, you're using them to, up your pay.
So Albert was asking about the weekly $300 team or split. That $300 is a individual bonus that you get for going to Alaska. So, and it's per trip completed. It's not every week. So, because it takes 6 days to get to Alaska and back to make one complete trip. And then you're going to take a day or two off. So when you come back, you're not going to say you started on Monday and you got done on Saturday. Well, you take 2 days off. You're coming back on Tuesday. So you're not going to complete that trip until after Friday, which is the cutoff of the pay period. So you get that $300 bonus on the day you complete the trip. And that's per person. So I get a $300 bonus and my co-driver gets a $300 bonus.
So my buddy Skip, I've grown up with him since we were kids. He lives in Anchorage. And I'm assuming you're talking about the dirt roads and that kind of thing is more in Canada. Because he was saying that, don't know about Canada, but Alaska is paved mostly.
Well, okay, the Cassiar Highway that we take, there's a decent amount of paved roads, but there's also a lot that, I'm not saying all the roads are dirt.
Right.
I'm saying that there's a good section of, there might be 10, 15, 20 miles of road that is just eaten up by frost or potholes or they just purposely grade it because like there's a really, really twisty turn that we've got to come down or go up. And that's always dirt. It's always gravel. And there's a grader that sits right there at the corner. Right. So I'm not saying every road is not paved, especially if you go the long way. A lot of guys that go the long way, those roads are paved up through those towns and cities and whatnot. But the way we take the Cassiar Highway, that there's a lot of section through there that's just either like chip and seal or just dirt.
What about Canada? Is it a lot?
That is through Canada. The Cassiar Highway is getting from British Columbia to the Yukon.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think he was just talking about Alaska. I think. But.
In Alaska itself, there's a lot of sections right as you reach from the border going in. The first 20 miles, they're constantly doing construction on it. Like now, there's a lot of it that is just dirt and eaten up. But once you get past that, you get like toward Anchorage and you're going towards, then they're all normal again. But even still, those roads do get frost heaves and stuff in them. And so it's you're bouncing all over the frickin' place.
Thank God for air ride.
A couple of guys are saying that it's only 21 days in the first year. I could have swore it was more than that.
So thoughts on Walmart employee stock purchase plan?
Well,
here's my.
I love the stock purchase program. Right before they did the split, I bought a ton of it so that it did the triple split. I actually have made more money on the Walmart stock this past year because I was playing with it to see how this would work out. I put more money in the Walmart stock than I do my 401k because my Walmart stock has earned me more money than my 401k has.
And they're matching 6%.
They match 6% on the 401k. They match 15% up to the first $1,800 of the stock plan.
And that's what's weird. They never told us that in the beginning. What they told us was they didn't say a percentage. When I got hired, they said for every $75 you get, you'll get $12 in stock. So does that work out to the
about
same?
15%?
Okay,
yeah. If you put in $100, you're going to get $15 in stock for free.
Yeah, it's about the same.
And up to $1,800, they'll match.
So then it's probably always been 15% then,
as far as I know.
Yeah, because this is back at the beginning. I
think a lot of guys only do $75 because if you take 26 times 75, that's probably close to the $1,800
cutoff. Yeah, it is. I did it my first year. I did it. It works out almost pretty close to $1,800 with them adding in. But I got to confess, I haven't done the stock in years or the 401k. I know I'm stupid, but
Well,
What's on
we'll
that
talk about
mentor?
that on our
What's
round
on
table. That
mentors?
monetary things might be one
Well,
of our topics.
Well, you would think that I would be smarter because when I first came here, I had a mentor. Her name was Catherine. They called her Lovey, and she had a boyfriend, and they both worked at Walmart. And her boyfriend, he put in the max, and I think he did some other stuff too. But I mean, he really focused in on the 401k. He only worked here like, gosh, maybe 12 years, something like that. I don't remember. He ended up passing away. But when he retired, what do you have? 1.7 million? He had $1.7 million.
I've heard that if you take advantage of the stock and the purchase, the stock purchase and the 401k, and you give Walmart 15 years, you will retire $1 million.
Well, and he played catch up. Because you can only put so much into 401k legally.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with Walmart. That's just
Federal law.
Yeah. And so he put max in for a while, to get caught up because, he did like the rest of us, I'll never get old. What do I need to do that for? And, like I said, he had 1.7. His friend, also a friend of mine, he's retired. I think he's retired now. He did even better than he did. I don't know what the number was on that, but there's no reason why you wouldn't have over $1 million on the 401k. Right now, you get the big scare. Oh, the 401k, you'll lose your butt on it. It's,
Mine's growing.
When I came here, stock was like, I thought it was $27. What is it now?
It's 90. Well, the other day it was 90 something.
I know at some point it was over 100.
God! When they did the three-way split, it was like 170.
Yeah, when I first got hired on here, it was in the $20 range.
and Sam Walton always said he wanted to keep the stock purchase price low so that the associates could afford to buy the Walmart stock.
Yeah.
So what they said in this last, was it a year ago when they did that triple split? They actually did a triple split instead of just a double split or standard split, whatever they call it. I don't really know. But when they did the triple split, they said they want to try to remember to keep the price low enough for the associates to buy it, which they said they wanted to try to keep it under $100.
Yeah.
So if it gets over $100 for a certain amount of time, they're probably going to do another split. And it's getting close to $100 now. Yeah. So maybe they'll do another split in a year or two.
Maybe I should get back into that.
This one guy, Mahara, says you can only roll over 7 PTO days. I know that's not true. Maybe it's a state thing, because I know in Washington you can accrue unlimited. And how many you can roll over, I don't know. But I know in Indiana I was able to roll over 10 because I had to keep it under 10.
Yeah, I heard 7, but I think you're right on the state.
Maybe it's a state to state thing, because I know I could do 10.
Well, for me, I can only roll over I think it's 3.
But that's part of your program, though,
yeah.
right? So I don't know. Maybe it's different for different people.
It doesn't matter. It's wintertime. I'm going to use it.
Yeah, well, but no, we want to make sure we're giving out factual information. So I want to double check on that and find out maybe mine was a state thing, because I know I was allowed 10.
Well, for me, it works perfect because Walmart's fiscal year is actually February 1st.
Yeah.
And January is the worst of winter. And so I'll end up taking that whole month off. So I'm good at that point.
So Corey's asking about regional accounts. So I think what he's talking about is the OTR, what they call OTR at Walmart, which isn't really OTR.
Yeah.
There's basically GM and grocery, and they're very different. GM drivers can drive up to, 750 miles from their DC?
Yeah, I guess.
Grocery only goes 250. I know that from working in Gas City, because they had to do some realignment to some places, like, this one kind of falls closer to these people, so they'll do realignment once in a while.
Yeah.
But grocery drivers do not go more than 250 miles from their DC
on average.
They don't go more than 250.
Because when I work for Grandview, I go more than 250 on some of them stores. I'm pretty sure.
Unless they had to, because there's no other grocery DC to go there. But,
yeah, I'm sure that's what it is.
I mean, there might be a few exceptions, but I know that they've talked about that in the past.
You got McCarran, which is down by Reno, and the only other one for all the Northwest is Grandview. And between in the state of Oregon.
So maybe out here, I know when I worked at Gas City, they always talked about grocery DCs don't go more than 250, blah 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 blah. So because most of those are reefer runs, your meat and produce are done on a reefer, your frozen dairy's done on a reefer, your dry groceries are the only ones done on a van. So those reefers have to come back to that DC. So they don't want those guys going 700 miles, because then they got to come all the way back empty,
Right.
all that. So
We had a question here. How do you say the name?
Is this just it?
Anyway, the question is this only Walmart related questions?
No.
No. You can ask questions.
no, we just happen to be Walmart drivers, but our roundtable discussions, we're gonna have other drivers come in.
Yeah.
From different
You might,
companies.
you might with the new people tell them.
Yeah, we probably ought to let the new people know that this is something we're going to do on a regular basis. We're going to try to do a bi-monthly roundtable. We don't know what we're going to call it yet. We don't really have a name for it, but we're going to do lots of different topics. We're going to have other drivers from other companies possibly. We're going to have financial advisors that come in and say, hey, we work at Walmart. This is what we have. What do you suggest we do with our money? We've talked about a lot of different options. So if you want to be part of the roundtable, if you want to be one of the guests, if you have a topic idea, drop a comment or something in the comments, or send Don an email at his email.
Yeah.
What's the email they need?
The email is Don at 20plustrucking.com. I would like to see this go beyond Walmart questions because, between you and I'm pretty sure we've answered every question probably a dozen times just in the last year or two,
multiple times a day,
and we were talking about what people would like to see on YouTube. And I'm like, do people really want to just see me like driving during the day? I'm at the store. I'm doing the same thing I did last week and the week before and the week before that. And apparently people do want to see that because there's new people or they want to see more examples of it. But there's plenty we could talk about that just have to do with the industry. Before I came to Walmart, I worked at other trucking companies, and same with you. I used to run cross country a lot. I'd go out 6 weeks at a time. I've lived that life. It's been a while, but I think we can still help. And there's probably some of you that we can get on here that can help other people.
Well, there's lots of topics we can cover. I get a lot of guys that ask me on my channel because I had bariatric surgery 2 years ago. And I get a lot of guys that ask me, hey, I'm overweight. How do I do the surgery? Does Walmart pay for it? Where do you go? So, maybe, diet and stuff like that could be one of our topics one week. There's a lot of things that we could cover in this roundtable.
So you're bringing up something that I've thought about that a lot of people don't know about. When you had your surgery, did you go to the Center of Excellence?
Sure did.
So that's 100% paid, right?
That's the only thing the Center of Excellence doesn't cover 100%. They claim that they cover 75%, but I never got a bill. I never paid a dime other than what my insurance sent me because you have to pay your deductible and you have to pay your co-pays and all that. Once I did all that, Walmart covered everything else. I never paid a dime for any of it.
You can do things like get a liver transplant or be treated for cancer, and it can run
heart attack, knee replacement, joint.
It can run over $100,000. Nothing. They do.
Walmart covers,
and these 100%. Are the top doctors, from what I hear.
They have special hospitals that you can select. When I had my bariatric surgery, I was only allowed. I lived in Indiana. I was only allowed to select a certain hospital in Minneapolis, a certain hospital in Missouri, or the one in Cleveland.
Well, the one in Minneapolis is that was the Mayo Clinic.
I was going to say, I think it was a Mayo Clinic, but I chose the one in Cleveland because it was just a little bit closer. I figure they're all three about the same. They're specialized hospitals for these. And, when I started talking to the people at the one in Cleveland, they were like, our success rate is like 98% and da-da-da-da-da. And they had a special program that there was like stuff that I had to do 6 weeks ahead of time before I even had the surgery. And then there was the therapy team that I had to talk to and the psychologist. And there was a whole slew of things that I had to go through before they would even approve the surgery.
Right.
And then once I did that, there was stuff that I had to do after the surgery. So my experience so far from what I've seen from the Center of Excellence, it lives up to its name. It's excellent.
Yeah. Well, I've met a couple of people, and there's one guy in particular. I'm trying to remember. He had a major transplant. I don't remember what it was, though, but maybe it was liver or lungs or something. But he is in depth told me like how they treated him, how they treated his wife, how successful it was. The fact that you get charged nothing, how good the doctors were compared to all the other places he'd been to.
Yep.
And I get it. You're not going to want to go there just for any, you probably would like to be closer, but no bill and they're this good.
Yep.
It's kind of cool to have that. It's very cool.
Actually. I've never heard of this happening at any other job.
I never have either.
and it's free. It's we don't pay for that. It's just a Walmart perk. It's one of the other benefits. So I'm thinking that there's going to be. I'm looking at a comment here by Mahara, and I don't know if I'm saying his name right. So I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. I don't want to call him F46 because I'm not sure what that means either. But he says if your start time's before 1600, you're basically a GM driver. He's in North Carolina and he goes all the way to Maine, even though he's a grocery DC.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a regional thing because when I worked in Region 5 in Gas City, Indiana, that was a grocery DC. And they always said, you don't go more than 250 miles. And there was a driver in Illinois, Region 5. They didn't go more than 250 miles. So maybe it was just a regional thing.
But did you guys do any dry groceries?
Dry grocery was
okay,
but they went to the same stores in our little network of 250 miles.
But if you did a dry load, you don't have to come back. So did you ever go to another DC?
Nope.
Oh, that's what's going to
maybe that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe because if he takes a dry load, that dry van, maybe he picks that up and he ends up somewhere else.
Because we have guys in Fontana that come up to Red Bluff all the time. And that's grocery down there.
So maybe he got borrowed to another DC though, because that does happen. There's times where I'll go into Gas City and they're like, hey, we don't have a lot of work this week. We're going to send you to Auburn. You're going to run the milk plant. I hated running milk because milk stinks. When you're running nothing but those milk containers, they leak on the floor. They smell really freaking gross. Your straps get wet. It just
a lot of people may not know that we actually have are they dairies or
no, this was its own dairy. It was just all this dairy this did was Walmart. They had the processing plant and
it's a Walmart dairy.
It's a Walmart dairy.
Yeah. And
that's all they do is milk from that plant. And you take the Walmart milk to the different stores. Now that one it was still within 250 miles, but I don't know what their rules are. I just know that I went there and the money was really good. You could go from there all the way like Cleveland, Ohio and back. But because you had to bring that reefer back to that DC. So you came back empty, but it was basically just go out, they unloaded the milk and you came back. Wow. And there was good money doing milk, but I hate it because it stinks so bad in them trailers. That milk would.
Well, I used to be a tanker driver, not for Walmart, and I used to go to the dairies. Trust me, whatever you're smelling wasn't as bad as the dairies.
The dairy didn't smell. This was just a processing center. I don't know if they hauled the milk in on tanks or whatever. Right. This was just like a little factory. It had all the stacks and whatnot. There were no cows or nothing.
Yeah.
It was just milk, and they were putting it in the jugs, and you're delivering the milk.
Well, and it seems like I've been told they call it a dairy. It's not really a dairy. It's a processing plant, But I used to do both. When I worked tankers, I would literally go out to the farms. I'd pull the milk out of the tanks. And, flies in the cab. I hated it. And then I get a full load. Then I go to the processing plant, and then they would pull the milk out. Okay. Actually, we had a deal where it's not this way anymore, but up in Medford, I actually was the one to pump the milk out of the trailer and into the tanks and all that. And it was fun, but didn't make much money though.
He says picking up at Tyson Foods was the worst smell. I've been to a couple Tyson places there. I didn't notice anything.
I think I went to Tyson. I thought it was in Springdale or Arkansas. I don't know.
Mine was in Ohio.
Years ago, I went to one. Yeah, I got to admit, it was pretty stinky.
Really?
But that was 20 years ago, though. That was a long time ago.
Maybe maybe the East Coast is a little different. It sounds like he's out on. He said he's from North Carolina, so.
Oh, is it? Can you only fuel at Walmart, DC? What if you have a long load that doesn't take you through a DC?
I don't see that comment anywhere.
It's probably I'm guessing on my live.
Yeah.
So I'm only seeing comments for people on my channel.
I think so.
Oh,
yeah, that's why I've been trying to give them a break here. But
okay,
are we seeing on both channels?
Yeah.
No, you don't have to fuel at a DC, although they prefer it and they want you to. But if you're like, for example, I'll leave Red Bluff, I'll go up to Hermiston, do something for them, and then I may get a backhaul in like Seattle area, and they'll go all the way down to Colton, California. Well, yeah, we have Red Bluff, DC along the way, but probably can't make it that far. And so they prefer us to go to pilots. They said they're working on a deal with Love's, which I think I don't know if they've got it yet or not.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, they were telling this in Bentonville. They're working on Love's to get a deal. I mean, you can fuel wherever you need to, but I think you're supposed to call if it's not a pilot.
That might be DC to DC, like your office manager that does all that stuff. He might say, hey, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we've been told the same thing. Our fuel pumps in Grandview are always down. They've been trying to replace them. So they've told us fuel at Pilot if you can. If not, fuel wherever you have to.
Yeah.
But like little satellite yards like Centralia, they don't have fuel at their DC.
No.
They have to drive the 15 miles up the street and fuel at the Pilot up the road or wherever they can
A
go.
couple miles down the streets of Loves too, so it'd be nice if they could do that. But no, you can fuel. I don't do it that often. I fueled one last week for the first time, and I haven't fueled in I don't know, like 6 or 8 months. And it was because I thought I was getting sent to a store. It was Pasco.
Okay.
And I thought,
the wood.
well, yeah, surely I'm going to just, Pasco's like really close to both the DCs. Surely I'm just going to come back to the DC. No, they gave me a thing that, was it wood?
It's wood.
Yeah, and I ended up taking it to Colton. Well, I actually relayed it in Red Bluff, I think. But, yeah, I didn't put fuel in.
It's that little yard that they don't tell you nothing. You don't know anything. And there's just a bunch of trailers inside of this little spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You drop. Yeah, I didn't.
Oh no, that's the pallet yard. No, I was at the
Oh.
Pasco store.
Oh, okay.
I know you're talking about the pallet yard.
Yeah.
No, I was at the Pasco store, and then they ran me empty to some vendor, and then I went south with it, and I was like, oh, all right. So I landed up. I put $100 or $100.
You could
100
have
gallons. In.
maybe swung out unless you took $3.95. You'd have to swing out of your way to hit the Hermanston spot. You could have done that, but that would have been kind of out of the way.
I could have, but I didn't.
I'm just saying, if you'd have went down to 84 and then cut over towards Portland, you'd have had to backtrack a little bit to get to Hermiston.
If it's 10 miles out of the way, I'm not stopping.
No, and a lot of guys will go to Pilot anyway. You should get 5 points per.
Yeah.
You get bonus points for being a Walmart driver.
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. I only got a little bit of fuel, but I landed up with $3 on my card over one fueling. I'm like, cool. There's a candy bar.
Yep. Yeah, you get 5 points per gallon just because you're a Walmart driver.
Yeah.
So why would you not try to hit a Pilot or Flying J if you could?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you guys might have more questions. I didn't realize we weren't seeing the same ones.
So am I looking at that one? If you start, if your start time is before 6, no, he said that already.
It's on screen.
Oh, okay, there it is, right in front of me, like a snake. It's gonna bite me. I qualify with all their requirements and have a perfect record, but when I applied, they denied me with no explanation. Why don't they ever say why? Do they sometimes do for no reason?
There's a few reasons.
Well, why didn't they say anything then?
That I don't know, but I've talked to either the GM, the
GTM or
the DC, like the HR person.
Yeah.
Because I've been like, hey, this person I know personally, they got denied. Can you tell me why? They're like, oh, we filled all the positions before we got to them. That happens sometimes.
so they don't send notification.
They
out
don't
saying
send
we're
a
done.
notification saying why. They just send a very generic letter saying, thank you for your interest. At this point, we're not proceeding with your, application. Please look online, watch for openings, stuff
Well,
like that.
okay, so let's look at it from a different angle. What if there was something wrong with their application or something wrong with their experience? They're going to say something, right?
Not always.
Well, it seems to me like most of the time when you get that generic message, you probably haven't done anything wrong. It's just
Doesn't mean you did anything wrong.
Yeah, probably just try again.
A lot of times it's because they filled the spots.
Yeah.
Now, if there's something they found in your record, if that person calls, there's a hotline number, and I don't have it memorized, but I do have it in my email. So when anybody emails,
Well,
what's the hotline?
Isn't that candidate support?
The candidate support, yes.
Yeah, it's on the homepage of driveforwalmart.com.
Okay. So if they call that hotline number or the candidate support number, I've always called it a hotline. I didn't know that's what it was called. But anyway, if they call that number, a lot of times those people can give them information based on what was wrong with their application.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't put in a social security number properly. Maybe there was something else that happened. Maybe it's something they can fix.
Yeah.
They call that candidate support line, they'll sometimes get to find their answer.
Yeah. Well, if you want to know bad enough or you want in bad enough, you'll call, you'll figure it out. And they kind of figure that because, I mean, one position could have hundreds and hundreds of applications and they're hiring at how many different DCs across the country? I would imagine they're trying to keep their end on the minimum. Like, if you want it that bad, you'll call, you'll figure it out. You'll do something.
It's like I know with Indiana, like if Greencastle or Gas City are hiring, they might be only looking for 2 to 3 drivers.
Yeah.
But they may get 100 applications.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Seymour is always looking for drivers. So if you put your application in at Seymour, odds are you're going to get a phone call, you're going to get an interview. I mean, even if you don't use a referral, you probably will still maybe get an interview or a phone call. But Seymour always seems to be hiring because what happens is Seymour is a large GM place. And a lot of guys will get in at Seymour and then transfer to Hopkinsville, Kentucky, or only Illinois or Gas City or whatever. They'll use that Seymour to bounce a year later when they get their ability to transfer.
Because it's easier.
So then they're always looking for people to come in there. So.
Right. Well, that's good to know. It's easier to get hired.
Yep.
So,
but you got to put your 1 year in before you can transfer.
You pretty much kind of.
Oh, we're all caught up. Oh, good. How long have we been on?
You've been on an hour 5. You might tell them about your giveaway again if you have anybody new.
Oh, okay. Well, in case anybody else new showed up, let me let me show you this. So I did a review on this dash cam. It's the A229 Plus 3-channel Biopo dash cam, and Biopo sent it to me. They asked me to do a review on it. It's a 2K dash cam. Asked me to do a review on it. I've already got their 4K, and I love it. And so I thought, well, maybe one of you guys would like to have this. So if you want to be part of the drawing, we're giving it away. If you want to be part of the drawing, about 3 weeks, I'll pick a name. Just email me at don@20plustrucking.com and just say, hey, I want to be part of the drawing for the dash cam. And so they put in a hardwire kit with it. They put in a like a filter for the lens, polarizing, and one of these little Bluetooth buttons so that you can hit the button on the dash if you want to lock footage in. You know, like somebody ran into you and they drove off. You want to make a reel? Sure, you got that.
Or a moose comes across the front of my truck. And...
Right. Oh, that's going to be a hit on YouTube. Hell yeah. So anyway, I did a review. It's not the greatest review, but it's a review. Go check it out or don't and just put your name in. It's up to you. And yeah, I may be holding your camera right now. Oops. Just kidding. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry. It's only dropped it a couple times. I think it's going to be fine. So
we need somebody we need to read a disclaimer. Family members ineligible or not eligible. Blah, blah.
Right, we're gonna have the bloopers. Like, okay, and cut, and then we start playing football with this thing in here. Like, oh, it's still on. So, well, I mean, we're running out of questions here. You guys got anything else, or?
Just remind people to drop a comment or send an email if they want to be part of our roundtable that we're going to be doing bi-monthly going forward. And it's not going to be just Walmart drivers, outside drivers. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about fitness. We're going to talk about finances. We got all kinds of ideas that we're going to come up with in the future. So
he has a good comment here based on what he was just talking about. He said, I did work at a DC on a forklift around 20 years ago. And I was still 19 and did something. Where'd it go? Did something. Thank you. I did something that got me fired. Could it be why they don't want to hire me as a driver now? Do they keep records for 20 years?
Actually, there was a guy that was 16 years old, worked at a Walmart back 20 some years ago, and did a no call, no show, and was terminated and basically blacklisted from Walmart because he had a no call, no show. Yeah. When he tried to apply as a driver, that no call, no show, that blacklisting was still in the system. Yeah. And he had to go through some hoops and he had to get it removed. But yes, what you did at Walmart 20 years ago can haunt you today.
So how do you go about getting that removed?
You have to talk to a GTM. The GTM has to talk to another member of management. I don't know how that got done up the chain, but when this gentleman was trying to get on, and we figured out my GTM, Dave Aguilera at Gas City, who is the best GTM boss I've ever had in my life at any job. He went to bat for this guy and was like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what happened. This guy wrote him an email and told him, this is what I did. This is what happened. This is why. But he was honest about it. Yeah. And so my GTM, Dave, went up the ladder and I don't know who he got a hold of, but he had to go up the ladder a little higher than that yet and was able to get it fixed to where the guy could apply.
So when he says GTM, I mean that wherever you're thinking about getting hired, if you'd want to do the same process, you're going to have to do the same thing. So whatever DC it is, find out how you can get a message to the GTM, I guess.
Or you may have to talk to somebody. Maybe one of the recruiters can talk to somebody in safety because I know they have safety people that they talk to.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a safety man. I don't know who Dave talked to. It could have been maybe down the ladder. Could have been, I don't know. But it definitely, it can haunt you. So if you think that's an issue, maybe the hotline, the support team can tell them that if that's an issue. I don't know. But
right.
Mahara says locations like Sutherland, Virginia, Menominee, Wisconsin are always hiring, get in places like that, and then transfer.
Awesome. I love that.
I really need to buy that camera so that I can start doing this kind of stuff. So there are no truck stops in Canada.
Yeah. Oh,
They have, yeah, I just saw that pop up on the screen here. So basically there are gas stations like for cars and whatnot, and they might have a fuel island in the back for a truck.
You mean like a car lot?
There are card locks as well. They're basically just a few pumps. There's a machine, you go put your card in, you push what pump number you want. They're unattended pumps is basically what they are. Yeah. But they're also very far and few between. Especially in the wintertime, we have to plan our fuel stops to a T. If we miss one, we may not make the next one.
Yeah.
But there's a few, like we'll stop in Prince George. There's a couple small places there. There was a small 2-pump Flying J, but they just recently closed that one. But there's no truck stop. There was a convenience store inside, and that's it. There's no, like you down here, the card locks might have a little shower building that you got to go in the card lock, push a button, blah, blah, blah. But like people see down here, these big truck stops, that doesn't exist in Canada.
Yeah.
They're just little bitty gas pumps.
Or Alaska.
See, in Alaska, there's like a Speedway that has a gas pump for diesel, or a diesel pump. There's
what about truck stops?
There's no truck stops. There's no Flying J, no Loves, none of that up there. There's card locks. Card locks are mainly the way you get your fuel. Yeah. But the card locks don't have a place to go buy a coffee or bathroom or none of that.
Well, I was thinking like showers. I mean,
a few of the card locks will have a little shower building. You got to use the card and put in the pump number, or I think maybe it's 8 for the shower, whatever that building's thing is.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of those things that close. Like even if they are like there's on the Cassiar Highway, when you get about halfway up, there's 2 spots that you could stop and possibly get a shower and fuel, but they close after like 8 o'clock at night. It gets dark, so do they. Yeah. It's a little different, but you can get fuel, but you have to plan your stops very, very carefully.
You know, I think people would probably want to see that. I mean,
the more we've talked about this, the more I'm like, I really need to do some videos of the Alaska stuff.
Something as simple as like some footage of this highway where it's its loneliest point, or you know, like in the winter, how ominous it may be in the dark, snowing, where's the road, that kind of thing. And then like when you show up at a gas station or whatever it is, and literally you're just pushing snow to get into that pump, and you're just praying that it actually is working.
See, we got very lucky last year. Alaska, the people in Alaska were actually very angry that they did not get as much snow last year.
Yeah.
Every time we went to Anchorage, it was like 34 degrees and it would like flurry, but there wasn't a lot of snow. And the reason they're mad is because a lot of Alaska's income is tourism.
Yeah.
And if they don't get a lot of snow, or if they don't get a deep freeze and a slow thaw, they dry out way too quick, and then they have fires, and then they have to ban campfires, which kills their tourism, because who wants to go camp in Alaska if you can't have a campfire?
Right.
So a lot of the stores, when I talk to them, like, man, isn't this weather great? They go, this sucks. And I'm like, why? They're like, we need snow. And I'm like, what do you mean you need? I'm like, this is crazy. What are you talking about? And then they explained it to me, like, look, our tourism needs the snow. We need a slow thaw. We need water. We don't want it to be dry. We don't want to, and they educated me on why that was the way it was. And I was like, well, I had no idea. I was glad there wasn't any snow. Right. I don't want to be driving. I don't want to be walking.
What's wrong with you people? Aren't you happy?
It never fails, especially it's the Eagle River store, if I'm not mistaken. Eagle River, Alaska, there's a store, and there's not a very big area to turn around behind that store. Guess where they pile all of the snow from the entire parking lot? Right there in the corner of the dock.
Yeah.
How do you get in when there's snow piled up all in front of the dock? How do you get into this stinking thing? You got to like pull into the dock and then kind of back out of the dock, and then you got it because they pile it all, and they get bulldozers out there and they'll pile this stuff up, 2 stories high.
Well, it's because they don't want to piss the customers off, and you can deal with that.
they could have put it in a little bit of the parking lot and piled it up, but they had to put it right there. I hate that store when it does get a little bit of snow because they pile it all right there. So, but yeah, this last winter there wasn't a lot of. We didn't chain one single time.
Yeah, the person asking questions there, Skip This Way. He's like, we grew up as kids together.
Oh, okay.
He's been in Alaska for I don't even know what's it been. 27 years. I don't remember. A long time, 30 years almost. And yeah, I'm sure he's getting a kick out of a lot of what you're saying there.
Okay.
Yeah, this last year he this last winter he didn't have that much going on, but the winter before, wasn't that it? It was pretty horrendous.
They had a decent one the winter before, but we didn't chain up once last year. And even a lot of the Alaska drivers I talked to, they're like, we don't chain as much as the guys in the lower 48. And I'm like, why? They're like, well, we have two directions we can go. Yeah. If we know that this pass is going to be down, we'll go the other way. And they do a pretty good job of plowing the roads up there. From what I saw, even on the Cassiar Highway that we took, Walmart will tell us at some point when it gets bad enough, they'll say, okay, drivers, no more Cassiar Highway. Yeah. Okay, fine. But when we take it all the time, there's snow plows up and down constantly. We're passing snow plows sometimes. And that's something else that's crazy about up there is on that Cassiar Highway, there's about a 15-hour section where there is no cell phone service. Yeah. There's no radio, no FM, no AM radio, and even our satellite radio cuts out.
So what about the tablet in the truck?
It's worthless.
Okay.
If you try to go in and change or do something, it does not work.
Oh, nice.
There is no satellite. There's no signal. No nothing.
Yeah.
So for a lot of guys ask, well, what do you do all night? We download podcasts. We download music, whatever. We have stuff downloaded to our phones that we can play while we're in that dead zone. Because if you don't, and there's been a couple times where I'm like, oh man, I forgot to download the audiobook. Silence is all you're going to get because there is nothing. CBs are different up there too, because they run the UHF band CBs that are illegal in the United States, but in Canada you can run those and they go like so many miles or whatever.
Well, they're not illegal if you have a license, but
okay. Well, I just know that the drivers have told me don't use this in the lower 48. Because like if you were to have an accident or something,
that's because FCC monitors United States. Canada's a different country.
So, but if you have an accident or something, you have to use that to try to get hold of a snowplow or wait for a snowplow to come by and flag him down. And then when he gets to service or he gets to a town or somewhere that he can make a phone call, then they call and then they send help. Right. This actually happened one time. I had just made the turn on the 30 or off of 37. It's up there in the Yukon where you start heading toward the Alaska border. There was a camper that was in the ditch. The truck was in the ditch. The camper was like folded over on top of him. And there were two guys trying to help him. Yeah. And they flagged me down. They're like, hey. And I'm like, there's no service here. I can't help them. I mean, I can't call anybody. So when I got to the next town, that's when I called for help. And I went to the truck stop and I'm like, hey, there's an accident about like 30 miles back. I had to call 911. And they were like, oh, yeah, we know about it. Somebody else called it in, yada, yada, yada. I was like, hey, is the guy okay? They're like, yeah, the guy was okay. You know, somebody called it, blah, blah, blah. But we have little, I don't know what they're called. They're like SOS radios that are done off satellite. And that's all they can do is basically send an SOS message to our DC. And then the DC can try to pinpoint kind of where we are and send help. But, you know, we have to go through wilderness training. It's a 1 day class, or was it 2 days? I can't remember. But we had to go through this class and they teach you how to they give you the little reflective blankets that you've got to wear. And they teach you that your truck is a cabin and a safe space. If you can, stay in it with the engine running to keep heat. But if the engine doesn't work, stay in it because it's safer to be there than to be out in the snow. They teach you how to pack snow to make dens that you can. They go through all that kind of stuff. And then, but the little satellite radio, you push, there's a little button that says SOS, and you push that and it sends a message to Walmart. And then Walmart knows, okay, well, there's a problem. We got to go find them. And like I said, otherwise you just have to use the snowplow guy and he'll get to somewhere that he can make a call and they'll send help. But I've been told that if you have an accident and you're going to be there for possibly 12 to 24 hours, and the tow bill for a tow truck in Canada, when they have to tow you out of a hole or something, I've heard the tow bills can be between $20,000 and $30,000 just to get your Walmart truck wherever it needs to go. So yeah, it's a little different, but like I said, last winter was so nice. I didn't have to go through any of that kind of stuff. So
if you break down up there, you might just leave the truck and go buy another one. Huh? Oh, tow bill's too much. You can have it.
There were guys that when they break down, then they get the truck to the shop. Walmart puts them on an airplane and sends them back to the DC. Yeah. And then they go back and get that truck at another day or another time. But yeah, they'll fly the Walmart driver back. If you get stuck up there and they put you in a hotel, they'll pay you 80p for every day that you're stuck in the hotel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Which,
But you want to be stuck somewhere in a week that you're just staring at the walls of a hotel room because there's literally nothing around. I mean, there's some little towns that's all there is a hotel and a little gas station, maybe a restaurant, and nothing for miles.
yeah, we have to go do some snow camping or something.
Walmart Way has this question. It was answered in the comments, but see what you guys have to say.
I see him on mine now too. He says snow ain't snow. I don't know what that means, but
You mean how would a current driver be able to transfer to another DC?
I was answering that for him, but your thoughts?
I actually did this.
Less than 1 year.
I did this.
Yeah.
It's not normal. Normally within a year you can't transfer. But when I was at Seymour, when I first got hired on, before I even went to orientation, I'm like, wait a minute. I live in Northwest Indiana. Gas City is only like 2.5, 3 hours away. Seymour is like 4.5, and I got to go through Indianapolis. Why wasn't I told that I could go work there? And they're like, well, maybe they didn't have any openings the day that the recruiter was talking to you, so there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm like, man, if there's any way that you guys could transfer me to Gas City, I would appreciate it. Well, 6 months after I was at Seymour, they started the meat and produce thing at Gas City.
Oh, they needed me.
And it was new. And since they needed me, what they did, and I didn't get an actual transfer, but this is kind of a way that you can get around it if the two GTMs agree. It was just, it worked out perfect. I highly doubt this is going to happen for a lot of people. But if both GTMs agree, what they did was they loaned me to the Gas City DC. So I was still property, technically, or whatever you call it, of Seymour. Yeah. I don't know how my rights were still, I don't know how you want to phrase that, but my contract was still with Seymour, but I got to go to drive to Gas City, work out of Gas City, and all of that every week. And then after my 1 year was in, then I was able to make the transfer official.
Yeah, I could see that being a deal because there's times where we've done that kind of thing, not like what you're talking about, but like, let's say Hermiston, it whatever reason they need people bad for a couple of weeks, and then they'll put, it's like a bonus thing. I don't know the details. Get paid a bonus. You have to stay up there. You stay in a motel and your 34-hour reset, do it for 2 weeks and then come back. We've done that with a group of people. I almost did it. And then I thought, well, what for? What am I really gaining here? So I didn't do it, but
so Mahara says everyone is moving south. It's hard to get in for that reason. Southern Virginia is an exception because of all the stuff coming from China.
That's a major shipyard, is that why?
That might be the guys that work. I've heard there are guys that work on a shipyard out there that make 600 a day, 80. That's insane, but I don't. That might be what he was talking about.
So sweetness to 26.89. Are you able? What's on the screen? Can you see it?
Yeah, I do.
Are you able to do only 1 week with a mentor? If you tell them you're comfortable going solo now.
It doesn't matter what you tell them.
No.
It matters what the mentor is okay with. Now, I've had guys that you're supposed to do 10 days with a mentor when you first come on. And as a mentor out of Gas City, I would go to Dave and say, this person knows the computer. This person does this. This person is fine. On the 8th day, they got sent out on their, like if it was end of my week and they were going to have to come back for 2 days, then sometimes they would let them go a little early. But for the most part, it doesn't matter how comfortable that driver thinks they are. It matters how comfortable the mentor is, because the mentor is the one signing off saying this person is ready. And if that person does something wrong and they go back to the mentor and say, you said he was ready. So it doesn't matter how comfortable they think they are. The mentor has to agree to it. Sometimes you can get a little less than the 10 days.
When I first came here, it was 5 days with the mentor, and it was just out and back, something local or something you can turn and be back. And that was it. You did all the driving. The mentor just sat there.
And it's not the driving and the driver. That's they want to know, can you work the Navigo? Can you work in transit? Can you work the program in the computers? That's the biggest problem.
Can you do the procedures that we normally do to drop and hook at a store or unload groceries at a store or something like that?
So, I mean, if you've got a lot of run, if you've had a lot of stores, if you had a lot of activities and you had a lot of stuff going on in that 10 days, some drivers do get a lower. Some drivers do more than 10 days. If they haven't gotten a hang of the computer, mentor sticks with them for another week. So 10 days isn't a hard, fast rule. It's a guideline.
Well, I know it used to be, and I think it still is. you're always their mentor. I mean, my mentor,
Yep.
I knew what I was doing, but you know, after like 2-3 years, something came up. I'm like, hey, I never saw this on the paperwork. What do we do here? I'd call her and she'd tell me. So I mean, she never stopped being my mentor, and I think it kind of works that way.
See, and there again, Mahala says that there's no exceptions. I didn't do 10 days,
Yeah.
so maybe it's a DC to DC
Yeah,
thing.
sounds like a
Because
DC thing.
maybe at his DC there are no exceptions. I'm not going to say he's not true, but I know I didn't do 10 days, and I mentored 3 people, and I had one guy that I let up at 8 days. The other 2 guys stuck around for the full 10, but it was more of a scheduling thing. They came in on my day 1, they went home on my day 5, they came back on day 6, they went home on day 10. The other guy I got because another mentor got sick, so I picked him up at the middle of a week. And then he did the last week with me. So he only stayed for 8 days instead of the 10. Well, I guess maybe I don't know if he had a day or 2 with the other guy, if he actually rode with him or not. But yeah, I didn't do 10 days. When I was a new driver, I think I only did 7 because I knew how to do their computer because I had done a very similar one with a company I'd worked beforehand.
Oh, I see.
So I only did 7. So
yeah. So let's see. Exclusive Corey. Okay. Since some DCs hire more drivers than others, how tough would it be to join a Southern DCs? Would it be more competitive?
that might be
or
what
less?
Mahara was talking about with that one. Okay, that makes sense now.
Okay. What else we got here?
Alaska drivers. He wants to know how much Alaska drivers make. Alaska drivers don't make as much as you guys. No, I'm just kidding. We get what's called ADP. We don't get paid for chaining. We don't get paid for layover. We don't get paid for the live unload. We don't get paid for any of that stuff. We don't get paid by the mile. We get ADP. It's any
Like a
team
salary.
driver it's a salary basically.
Yeah.
All the team drivers make the same. Whether you're team driving produce in Texas or team driving for Alaska, it's I think 46 or 49 or 40, so whatever. It's like about $490 a day. So you get your ADP. The only difference with Alaska drivers is, like I may mention this earlier in the show, we get a $300 trip completion bonus. So what that means is when we come in, we fill out a form saying, okay, we'll be back, okay, today's April 10th. We'll be back on April 16th, our $300 bonus. And then we set that on HR's desk. And they know on the 16th, wherever that falls in the pay period, that's when that $300 bonus will get put on our checks. It's not when we leave. It's not in the middle of the week. It doesn't matter what pay period. It's whatever that last day completion is. And we are supposed to run a 6-3 schedule, but me and my partner for the last 2 months have ran 6-1. Now, starting in June, we're going to go back to 6-2, but they ask us to run 6-3. Now, where that makes a difference is if we run 6-2 and on our day that we want to go out, if there's not enough loads or too many other people have already, because there's a little board when you leave, you put your name on your next go out day. Yeah. So if there's too many people or something like that, we have to wait till that 3rd day. But if there's nobody there or if the loads are available, we can go out on the 2nd day.
So you've been going out and then come back doing a 34-hour reset and then right back out?
Right back out.
Oh, okay.
It's rough.
So that you're just doing that because you want to make more money?
We want to make more money because he had a lot of PTO coming up. He was off in May. He's off the 1st week of June. I'm off the 2nd week of July and the last week of August. So we knew we had a lot of PTO coming up.
Yeah.
So we were just trying to make as much PTO as we could. So we had days off and trying to make as much money as we could so that we had money saved up for our trips.
Oh, okay. Great.
Sweetness just passed onboarding.
Oh, good. All right.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
What's the rehire process if you quit and come back? I can't believe how many
It happens
people-
all
Yeah.
the time.
I know. It's great. I never knew until just the last couple of years. What's the process, though?
It's the same process. You have to reapply.
Yeah.
You have to go through onboarding. You have to do the mentor. Everything's the same.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's been quite a few people. And,
And they lose all their seniority and you have to start back at a regular normal 1 driver.
well, I've noticed this. The people that have left and came back, I mean, we got a lot of people that I think we get a little spoiled or a little comfortable being here. And I see people making claims, oh, we should get paid more for this, or they shouldn't do that, or they should change this rule, or we should have different trucks, or they're going to get rid of that. And it's like, hey, I get it. It's not perfect here.
No
We
job.
have no job is. You have issues, you have things, But I think we forget that, well, what other companies have all that, not just one thing. People are real quick to name, oh, well, the last company I was at, we didn't have to share trucks. Yeah, well, maybe you got paid like crap, and then maybe, there's a list of things you didn't have. And I think people, they leave and then they get a reality check and then they come right back. So that happens. That happens a lot, actually. We got any other questions here?
No, but Kelly was just highlight that while you're.
Kelly, yeah, my app is still under consideration.
Kelly Morris.
Spoke to Dave at Gas City, and he says he doesn't have any openings yet.
Yep. I would say I know that name because I think we were just emailing each other the other day. I was like, Kelly Morris, I know that name. I didn't know if that was one of your people or one of mine. But
it is, yeah, she's one of my people. We actually had a long conversation, and she taught me a lot about a lot of this stuff, because she didn't make onboarding, so she's going to go again. Okay. And I'm just like, yeah, keep talking. You're telling me a bunch of stuff I didn't know anything about.
So now I'm curious, if they are subscribed to your channel and my channel, I'm seeing them and you're seeing them, because you're seeing people I'm not, and I'm not sure how this is working, but I'm seeing a few people. Like, you've got some questions of people I don't see.
This should be all.
But there's a few that I am. Yeah, when you pop it up on the screen, I see that, of course. But I'm saying, like, there's been some people you've talked about that I don't see in mine, but I'm wondering if they're subscribed on both channels, will we see both of them? Yeah. Is that why I'm not seeing some people? Is they're subscribed to you and not me?
Yeah.
Subscribe. Push that button.
I agree. Yeah, subscribe. You've listened this long, you might as well.
Yeah. Well, and for anybody that's new, we're going to be doing a bi-monthly roundtable where we're going to have other drivers come on, not just Walmart. This is going to kind of be a secondary thing. We're going to make a new channel for that, or are we just going to run that off our channels? I just thought of that. So be on the lookout. We're going to be doing a roundtable thing. We're going to do fitness. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about Walmart. We're going to talk about trucking. We might talk politics, although I'm not super comfortable with politics because it just always goes in the mud. I don't think there's ever really a good answer, but it's going to come into some subjects. But we're going to have other drivers come on. It's not just going to be the two of us. We're going to have other people join us. So if you want to be part of the roundtable, drop a comment, say, hey, I'm interested. I want to be part of it. And we'll comment, or we'll tag you, or whatever. We'll get with you, or Don will give you his email and you can send him an email. And because I'm at Don's house. So if you guys noticed, I drove down to California to come visit him and meet him and whatnot and hang out for the weekend and get to see all of his stuff and all of his toys and stuff. He's got a whole plethora of toys over here. He's got thousands. He's a Radio Shack in the corner is what he's got. So actually, it's better than Radio Shack. But
so we're doing a round table at the kitchen table.
Yeah, the Knights of the Rectangle table.
And while you're at it,
did I just see you throw his email up there so they could comment? Okay, yeah. I thought so.
That's why I didn't say it that time.
Well, maybe at the end, don't forget one more time.
Yeah, well.
Walmart Way says it just started the 6.2. I love the 6.2. And if you guys want, I've got a schedules guide. You can email me. I've got a schedules guide, a pre-trip guide, a frequently asked questions guide, and an insurance guide. But if you email me, drkaraokedj@gmail, I'll try to drop it on my feed. I'll drop it in my description. Okay. So I'll send you the schedules guide, but why 6.2 is my favorite schedule is because you never actually work 6 days. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because if you're working the first 5 days, what Walmart considers a 6th day is 6 hours. Yeah. If you have 6 hours left for your 6th day, that is considered a full day at Walmart. Now, to work a 6th day, you're not going to make a full day's pay, so to speak. But you get a half a day off. Why it's my favorite is because I lived 2.5 hours from the DC. So on my 6th day, I worked 6 hours. Then I drove home, and it was kind of like I only worked a half a day, and I get the rest of that day off, and I get 2 full days off. But then I get to come back and work my 6th day. Now, the other cool thing about a 6-day schedule is we were talking about ADPs earlier, and the way they calculate those is they divide your 13 paydays or 26 weeks, but they divide them by 10. So if you're constantly working 6 days, there are going to be weeks that you are going to have 12 full days in that pay period. So when that gets divided by 10, you have extra days of pay that are getting calculated. So it boosts your ADP. So you have a really good ADP. It won't be as good as 5.2. 5.2 is the best ADP you can pretty much get because you can do 5.2, you can extend, you can get.
I think mine actually is
what, the 5.5?
Yeah, ADP.
If you play your ADP right with the 5.5, yes. But I'm saying as far as the normal schedules that most guys are going to get when they first start out, 5.2 would be your best one. 6.2 I think is the second best. But I liked it because it gave you a little bit more flexible schedule because you get that half a day off. You get a really good ADP and your schedule rotates. So if you're a new guy, you're probably not going to have weekends off in the beginning. But doing a 6.2 when your schedule rotates for about 3 weeks in a row, you're going to have weekends off.
Well, and one of the things about that is you're never going to have to work. You're never going to be able to work extra because you already worked 6 days, so you can't work no more.
Yep.
And then you have your, what'd you say, 6.2? You have your 2 days off, so I don't know how you can ever work extra.
You would not be able to extend. That's the one downfall. And on my little sheet of I go through the pros and cons, and I do mention 6.2 or 6.3. The worst thing about those schedules is you can't get the extension bonus. But the extension bonus is not always there. It's only certain parts of the year when they need people. So you're really, in the long scheme of things, not really missing out on much.
Well, I know when the bonus first came out, it was $175, and everybody was sleeping all on that like it was raw meat or whatever. And so then they upped it.
It's $275 the last.
Yeah, and then at one point they upped it to $3 something.
I heard $3 something, but I was doing Alaska by then, so I didn't get on that.
So I was looking on the Facebook group the other night, one of the private Walmart groups, and basically I think it was $175. Yeah, there was like 50 comments in there going, nope, not doing that. That's not worth it. Give me a call when it's $275 or $300, and I mean the amount of people that were just turning that down immediately.
See, and that's where I don't think they thought about it right, because if you're working that extra day, even if it is like a 6 day and you're only putting in 6 hours, say you have a 5.2 and you're getting the extension bonus, you're getting your layover, you're getting all the activities for that day, you're getting all the miles for that day,
ADP
you're getting that this 175 bonus. That 6 day is only getting calculated off of the 10-day division. So that $175 is going straight to your ADP.
But what I love about, those are good benefits. What I love about that is that I don't like the mentality that I'm going to kill myself to make every dime I can, because it kind of ruins where you work at if people get too in that space. And I like the fact that so many people are like, no, I'd rather be at home. It's not worth missing home time. That's the attitude we want here, because you're already making over 100. Most people are making over $100,000 a year. Well, pretty much
everybody, unless you're doing a 5.5 or you're whatever. It would be very hard to make under 100,000.
First year, you can make up to 110. You weren't even making anything close to this. Most people at other jobs. So why do we need to lose our mind over $200?
I have heard there's a few DCs on the East Coast that are either have too many drivers or something that some of the guys were making a little under. But it's very rare that a Walmart driver is going to make under 100,000 their first year. Walmart Way had mentioned that you definitely use most of your 70 on a 6.2 or a 6.3, which is true. But also don't forget, you are maximizing your PTO at that point, because your PTO is calculated by the number of hours that you work.
Well, I did 6.3 for years. And most of the guys, they're like going off duty and like hoarding the hours. Not me, on duty all the time, like blow every minute I can, because on that 6th day, I want to go home in the morning. And unless you got at least 5.5 to 6 hours, they're probably not going to have a store to turn.
And I probably shouldn't say this, because Walmart probably be like, you're supposed to go off duty for your 30-minute break, blah, 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 blah. Never did. But at the end of the week, if you're like, oh, no, I don't have my 6 hours, or, oh, I'm short hours, just go back and change those on duties to off duties and you get your hours back.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that, but I didn't say that. I've heard people do that.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
But I like the 6.3, because if I can get off early enough on the 6th day, I got like 3 3.75 days off. Back then I lived right down the road from the DC. But I enjoyed it. 6.3 was nice. The trick to that is you have to have good partners. There's 3 guys, 2 trucks. Trucks never stop moving. And my partners, one is retired and the other one, JR, he still works here. They were awesome. Those guys were the best to work with. I felt like I was the guy that was the problem, so I had to extra clean up, because I felt responsible, because they were so nice. And so it just worked so well.
Sounds like Mahara's been. Mahara, I haven't seen you comment. If I'm saying your name wrong, or if you want us to call you by something, let me know what that is, because I feel like I'm saying your name wrong, and I feel disrespectful, and I don't mean to sound like that. It sounds like he's been here a while because he's got a couple tricks he's talking about on a 5.2. He's been able to get 70 hours, and he's got a lot of good answers. So I think he's been here for a little bit. So, if there's a waiting period to reapply, they will tell you when you go through onboarding.
Actually, Kelly, she had to reapply.
She had to wait 60 days, right?
I think it was 60 days.
Some are 90. They will tell you when you don't pass onboarding or whatever that reapply is.
Yeah.
They will tell you at that point you can reapply X amount of time, but it's normally 60 days.
Yeah. Okay.
See, now that guy that just popped up, that one's not in my feed. So, hey, what was that guy's name? Mike something?
Mike,
Yeah.
Hit that subscribe button, man. He's on your side. You gave subscribe to Mike.
There you go. Mike Fowler, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how would they can't subscribe to my channel if they're on your people.
They'll have to click on your
Okay,
name
they'd
or
have to go over to my
something.
name or something. All right. Well, after this live is over and you guys got nothing better to do, just go over and subscribe and follow my channel. And if you're on my channel and you're not following Don's, go follow his when this is over too. You guys can win that camera that he's got. You might want to tell. I don't know if we've got new people here. You might want to tell them about your camera.
Yeah, it might be cute.
So I was reading this thing there about that one.
Maybe put it up.
Yeah, what's it say? So if I work 6 hours on your go-home day, you get an extension bonus. I've never heard of that.
When they are giving extension bonuses.
Yeah. I'm 2 hours away from the DC, clean the trucks, stop completion, and I will be done in 3.5 hours. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're
It's
gonna
usually in the late summer and around Christmas. Well, Christmas time, and they do it for like 2 months straight.
Well, they're doing it at some DC. I've seen it online. So a lot of them are not. They said they're slow. But this
right
DC,
now we're slow.
This DC was over in the Carolinas or somewhere, and if someone put it on it was just the other night, last night or night before.
Okay.
Memorial Day weekend. So it just depends.
Holiday weekends. Yeah.
It just depends on the location.
Probably a grocery DC because you got all your cooking and grilling items that need to get to the stores. Yada yada. That's probably it.
So it's almost like station identification at this point. So okay, I'm giving this away. This could be yours. This could be yours. I won't drop it. At least you won't see that. But I won't. I'm giving this camera away. It's an A229 Plus 3-channel Biopo dash cam. It's got 3 cameras. It's got one forward, one in the back, and one for the interior. Biopo had me do a review. I've already got the 4K version of this. This is a 2K, and so I'm giving it away. Comes with the hardware kit. Comes with the Bluetooth button, that if you know anything about dash cams, that's the button you hit if you want to lock in the footage so it doesn't get re-recorded over the top of. A little button for that. And then this polarizing filter, couldn't think of that word. It's good for glare. So I did a review on this on my channel. Wasn't the best review, but I reviewed it. This is a great camera, and there's a little bit of footage on there you can check out. Really does a really good job. I think it's actually better than my 4K camera. The one I have is the A129. It's a couple of years old. It's great. This is half the resolution, and I couldn't hardly tell the difference between the two cameras. So if you want to enter to win this, it's Don at 20plustrucking.com. Just send me an email and just say, hey, I want to be entered into the drawing. Last night I checked, I only had like 10 or 12 people. So your odds are like 1 out of 12 last time I checked. I'm sure that's going to go up because it'll be about 3 weeks from now that I'll announce the winner, probably on a YouTube channel, but or on a live video or something. But right now, odds are really good. Not getting a lot of people entering. So, yeah, enter to win it.
I'm curious. On my way down here yesterday, I saw a Walmart truck that was bobtailing. And I thought, wow, I wonder where they're going. Walmart Way says that right now they're transferring trailers from California to Oregon. He was one of the lucky participants to bobtail back from California.
I seen that.
I was like, oh, maybe that was him that I saw going up 97.
Maybe. Yeah, I seen a couple. Well, this must have been going on for several days.
I've been off the last couple of days, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've been off for 2 days, but like 3 days ago, I seen the same thing. They were coming from Oregon there. So,
I don't know. Why would they be transferring trailers from California?
We did that. We transferred. I couldn't
Is
even.
it new trailers like from the factory?
No, no. Well, I don't know about this deal, but for us, we had to take down massive trailers down to like Southern California. Just because the shift of freight, they don't have enough trailers. They need a pool of empty trailers at places like the center points, whatever, vendors, all kinds of things. Just depends on what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how long have we been doing this? So we want to wrap this up pretty soon?
Hour 45. I think everybody's probably pretty tired of hearing from us. So
questions have slowed down a little bit on my side. I don't know about your guys' side.
Same here. Yeah.
But yeah, maybe Mahara, again, I haven't seen his name or anything, but maybe he needs to email you. He sounds like a guy that we need to have on. He sounds like he's got a lot of good information for the East Coast because we get a lot of questions, but
yeah, we can use your expertise if you're interested.
If he's got a channel, then he may get a couple referrals because we could kick people his way because whenever
and that's something to mention too. If people want to get on here that are Walmart drivers, you don't have to be a Walmart driver, but if you are a Walmart driver and you want to be on here, you might get a couple of referrals out of it. I mean, we're not going to hog up the referrals or not. You want to put a plug in for yourself for a referral on the. Yeah, we're good with that.
Yeah, I get people all the time. You get some idiots on there. This guy's only doing it for the referral. I'm like, dude, if you knew how many referrals I turned away,
right?
I mean, my goodness.
Well, those are just those disgruntled people. I think they used to work here and got fired or quit or whatever, or just people that hate Walmart because I'm like, how ridiculous that is. I spent over a year and a half making YouTube videos. I never said a word about referrals. And
I mention them all the time in my video, but I mention them because one, it helps the driver trying to get on.
Yeah.
And two, if I happen to get a referral out of it, great. If not, I don't care.
Yeah.
I still send the pre-trip pack. I send that to everybody.
Yeah.
I don't, you got to use me as a referral to get that. I give it to anybody that asks for it, I mean, I've got other drivers that say, hey, man, you still got the pre-trip? I had a buddy of mine, Kenny, that I went to class with. He asked me last night. He goes, hey, man, you got that pre-trip guy? I said, yeah, what do you need? Oh, I just got a guy. I said, all right, give me your email. Yeah. I sent it to him. I didn't say, hey, man, tell your guy to use me as a referral.
Right.
He's probably going to use Kenny as a referral. I don't care.
Right.
As long as that driver can get in, get a good job, and be part of the Walmart family, that's the main reason that I do it.
Well, it's like I was talking about earlier. It's one thing if you're here because you just want to get paid good money, or if you're here because you actually are on board with the idea that I like working here. This is where I spend most of my life. Why not make the best of it? So I like to bring people in that are good and not,
Just camera went blurry on it.
Oh, yeah, you did go blurry, didn't you? There it goes.
And
Right, because I got up close to it as I was.
So Walmart Way says, how does the driver get fired other than having an accident? Well, that would be a whole podcast, actually, if I go over the years of things that have happened. I'll give you a good story. I remember when I first worked here, my first got a job here. We had a guy, he was up camping like a Memorial Day weekend. He wasn't working for Walmart. I mean, he wasn't at work. He was on his time off. He landed up, he was at a campground, and he got in an argument with another camper. And the cops showed up, and they said, you go to your campsite, you go to yours, enough of this, just separate. Well, he couldn't stop talking because he'd been drinking, and he wouldn't shut his mouth. So it wasn't a cop. It was like a ranger or whatever. And he goes, fine. And so he gave him a DUI because he was riding on a moped.
Oh, no.
In the campground. Gave him a DUI. And so the GM, I remember the GTM got word. This is a long time ago. This is like 18 years ago. GTM got word, called him into the office, said, well, yeah, I mean, it's one thing to get a DUI. I think you still can't work here if you get a DUI, right?
I don't think so.
But it didn't even matter. He made it worse.
Be older than 10 years, I think.
But the point is, he was fired, and so what we call escorted out. I got to witness my first escorted out. You don't want to be escorted out of a DC.
Wow.
They got the AP has some pretty good guys in there, and they have the guys come in, and you get grabbed by the arm, and you get escorted out of the building. Yes. I don't know if they have to hold you onto your arms, but they're with you, and you get escorted out of the building. Trust me, if you're somebody who's worked here for decades, and all your co-driver, all the people you've worked with are watching you get hauled out or at least walked out, you don't want that. And so I've seen that in a couple of different examples, but I don't know. It could be any different in any other job, right? I mean,
no, you hear about it all the time. And offices and stuff.
Yeah.
People getting escorted out by security. Yeah, it's.
I mean, you get in a big fight, you say something racial to somebody, they'll probably fire you over that. Or
I had a guy that I mentored get fired.
yeah,
I'm not going to say his name, but he called me one day. He's like, "Hey man," he goes, "I don't work at Walmart no more." And I'm like, "Dude, you've only been here like 6 months. What happened?" He goes, "Well," he goes, "I was driving around the back of a store." He goes, "And I went through the stop sign, and the camera caught me below the stop sign, and they saw the reflection of my phone in my hand in the camera." He wasn't on his phone. He had his phone in his hand. I don't know if he was getting ready to make a call or ended a call, but because the camera caught the phone in his hand going through a stop sign, phone violations.
Yeah,
They let it go.
they don't mess around with the phone.
Cell phone is probably the easiest way to get terminated.
You can talk on the phone with the headset. They don't not
Hands free.
hands free. You can talk on the phone. It has time limits. I think it's 10 minutes per call, an hour total in a day.
They did away with all that about a year and a half ago. And you can talk as much as you want now. You're just not allowed to be on the phone during
right.
construction zones, hazardous weather, school zones, or something like that. There's got a few rules. But
Yeah, I forgot about
the
that.
time they
did away with the phone policy, and but you will get put back on that if you screw up.
You mess up.
Yeah. But so I mean, what other company? I think other companies do the same thing. I mean,
There's a lot of companies now that got inward-facing cameras to watch all that kind of stuff. Walmart doesn't use inward-facing
right?
cameras.
They don't watch you on the camera. Although if they see the reflection of your phone on that
That's how
window,
they got him.
yeah, that's how they'll get you.
Yep.
So I mean, just use your imagination. We can get fired here just same as everywhere else. They don't. I would imagine they would do their very best not to fire people because you're quite an investment.
Yeah, they're not trying to get you like some people
Yeah.
claim Walmart is trying to do.
They don't want to do that. You're a major investment. If you've worked here for a long time, you have the skills.
Even if you're new, they had to invest a lot in you to get you here.
Yeah. So they don't want to get rid of people. It's contrary to the belief there that they're out to get you. It's not true. So
executive car guy says that he emailed me for the pre-trip. I will do that when we get off here because I'm using my phone to look at the comments. So I'll take care of that. Something else I was gonna. Oh, that was the fire question.
Horace is ready to help anytime.
No, he says he's ready to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you email Don because they're like the center hub. I'm just part of the show. They're the main section of it. So they're going to line up the guests and talk to people and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
Local patrolling DC associate parking lot. What does that mean? Oh, local police department patrolling the DC associate parking lot. I'm not sure I understand.
Well, the DC parking lot is not a fenced off parking lot. That's where warehouse people are.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening out there, but I
maybe
know
the local police department is just making sure people aren't breaking into cars. Or
Yeah,
it's in a
maybe.
neighborhood and not out in the middle of nowhere.
But if you're a driver, you're not in that parking lot.
No.
You're in a fenced AP at gates where there's people. Yeah.
The guys that can't read English are the guys that drive their truck to that parking lot. I've seen that a few times.
Oh,
the guy gets out and he can't speak any English, and he's like, "I don't know where I'm going." And
I don't think it's really that. I've seen plenty of regular, people, American people. They pull in there because they get confused.
in the oh no, I'm talking like semis will truck because they'll like see the wrong sign and they'll go to that parking
That's
lot.
what I'm
It's like,
saying.
okay.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen Swift and McLean and a couple other different ones, just all twisted up trying to get out of the parking lot.
Then that was just the one experience I had. The guy couldn't speak any English hardly, and he had no idea where he was going, and he went to that parking lot. And once he got in, he couldn't get out. They had to come have people move cars to help him get back out of that parking lot.
RDC is different. They have a picture of a truck with an arrow. So it's a little Walmart joke. So I think we're gonna call it there. We're coming up on 2 hours, so hopefully we've answered a lot of questions.
Yep.
So you were saying that we're gonna do this
we were talking probably bi-monthly
like
sounds best.
twice a month.
Twice a month.
We'll do our best because he has the Alaska run, and then my schedule's pretty open. But
Yours is pretty open.
yeah, we'll do our best. I don't mind doing this in the truck a lot of times on the phone, but sometimes I go over to the coast and places like that, and there'll be dead areas where I'm going to lay over, and I can barely write an email, let alone stream video. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we're not going to be running 6-1 now. We'll be running probably 6-2 or 6-3. So I'll have lots of time throughout the month that we can probably make this work. I don't
Oh, good.
So,
Good. All right. Well, then, hey, I'm glad you guys came.
Yep.
One more time, I'll try not to drop your camera. Don at 20plustrucking.com. Just say, hey, I want to enter that drawing for the camera. So there's that. And I will catch you guys next time. You got anything to add to that?
No, pretty much.
All
There
right.
you go.
We're good to go. Thanks for watching, guys.
Subscribe to each other's channels. If
Yes.
you're not on mine or his, subscribe to the other one.
Subscribe.
Because we're not sure how this roundtable is going to work. We might make it its own channel. I'm not 100% sure yet, but
Don't worry. You'll be the first to know once we figure it out. So, all right. Catch you guys later. Have a great one.